Good morning, guys. Today is 6th of May, and today is Thursday, the weekly expiry. And we had positioned ourselves in a 14,500 and 14,800 strangle, but the 14,800 strangle lost much of its value, so we had to book that, and we have shifted our calls 50 points lower. So now we are on a 250 point strangle, which is currently worth 27-28 rupees, and we are pretty much cost to cost. We are slightly one point down, and yeah, the stop loss orders there are 25 and 24 for both these. So ideally this 14,500 put should not spike to 25 unless 14,600 is clearly breached. So that's the hypothesis we are working on. And on the Bank Nifty account, we had taken a 32,900 straddle, but because of this big candle and option prices spiking, we had to book that with a minor with a 20 point loss, 20-25 point loss, and now we are currently sitting on a 14,700 straddle. So the stop losses are kept for these as well. And the exit point for Bank Nifty straddle is if Bank Nifty starts falling below 32,500 levels. If 32,500 levels are not held, then we will be completely coming out of Bank Nifty straddle by taking whatever the profits, whatever the loss. And similarly, Nifty का जो adjustment point रहेगा, unless the day's high is taken out, unless 14,700 is breached, we won't be doing any adjustments. And at the same time, नीचे की तरफ adjustment कहाँ पे करने वाला है? नीचे की तरफ we will be just shifting our puts away and we will not be taking additional risk today. तो scene क्या रहेगा? Once 14, let's say this yesterday's low, I mean this yesterday's high is thoroughly breached and we come below 14,600, and then we'll be shifting some of our puts away to 14,450. Half puts को 14,450 पे shift करेंगे and the remaining half puts will be shifting after 600 is completely taken out. So that is the idea behind today's trade. And thanks a lot for showing a lot of love on the yesterday's video. And they are just purely my opinions, and I'll be making a part 2 of the video because I forgot a few other points which I should have incorporated and I wanted to incorporate. But yeah, I'll try to make another part 2 video before the weekend, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on the adjustments. A couple of changes. The first thing is Bank Nifty straddles. The next week straddles weren't offering a good risk reward for me, and the liquidity was also not that great. So what we did is we shifted to doing a this week's strangle. तो उसमें क्या हुआ है? So what we have done is we have completely closed our next week's straddles, and we are sitting on a 500 point strangle in the current week. It's worth somewhere around 192 rupees or something, and we have kept the stop loss at 130 for the put side. If the day's low is breached, then we'll be looking at a further downward cascade. So that's why we don't want to take any additional risk on that, and because of which we have kept a stop loss on the downside. And coming to the Nifty account, instead of a 300 point strangle, we have now made a 250 point strangle. We are at a 14,500 put and 14,750 call. The calls are 100 points away and the puts are 150 points away, but premium wise they both are trading at the same range. So these puts, we won't be doing any tinkering to these puts as long as the market doesn't breach the day's low. अगर day's low breach करता है, then we'll be thinking of doing some adjustments to these puts. And at the same time, जब तक day's high को cross नहीं करता, 700 cross नहीं करता, then till then we won't be doing any adjustments to these calls because the 14,800 call has completely lost its value and there is no point in adjusting it. But once these levels 14,670 levels are taken out, then we might look at shifting some of the quantities of puts to the higher levels, or we might completely risk off the calls and just completely take a very low risk reward positions. But as of now the premiums are pretty balanced, but the straddle itself is not that greatly balanced. Alright, another adjustment we had to do, just because Bank Nifty inside candle bana ke it looks like it's gonna break down, so we completely came out of the Bank Nifty straddle, and the net for the day is we are down by about 4 points. And in the Nifty, so what we have done is just because the 14,500 puts spiked up by a bit, so we have shifted some of the 14,750 calls to 14,700 calls, and बीच में जो puts थे उस सारे puts को निकाल के हमने 14,500 को 500 पे shift कर दिए हैं. Alright, the time is exactly 1 o'clock and Nifty has given some sort of a breakout towards the upside. So to compensate for that, what we have done is we have completely risked off from the call side and we have pushed our puts to 14,600. So now we have a 200 points triangle, 100 point towards the upside and 100 point towards the downside, just because like we have only one and a half hours of 2 hours of a good market action. So unless 14,750 is breached, no changes will be made to this position. But once 14,750 starts to get breached, we'll be pushing the puts higher. So there is no point in actually risking off from the calls anymore, because 14,850 का जो call है, so it's just worth like 1.66 bucks. So there is nothing in it. So there is nothing left in it, and at the same time there is no point in sitting on a 14,500 or a 14,550 puts, because they have already given up most of their value. But yeah, now as we head higher, we have resistance for Nifty around 14,722 पे भी resistance है. So 14,750 will act as some sort of a resistance. तो जब तक 14,750 के ऊपर क्लोज नहीं देता, we won't be doing any adjustments to this position. थोड़ा MTM में fluctuations रहेगा, but we'll sit with it. So currently we are up by just less than 2 points, 1.5 points है. And on the Bank Nifty account, since I was trading with current week's options with Strangles, which needed active adjustment, it was getting a bit cumbersome to focus on both and do the adjustments on both. अगर spike होता है तो Nifty and Bank Nifty दोनों एक साथ spike हो जाता है. So because of which it got a bit cumbersome to adjust. So that's why मैंने क्या किया? So I have completely come out of the trades Bank Nifty में. So we have taken 10 points of loss, 10 points of net drawdown, which is 1.7k of drawdown. Alright, the time is 1:25 and we are up by close to 5 points. We have collected 5 points of decay and we have slightly narrowed down our range. So we're sitting on a 14,600 put and we are sitting on a 14,750 call. So we have stop loss orders on both the things at 13.2 and 13.2. So the moment the stop loss order gets hit on any side, we'll be risking off and we'll be moving away from that. काफी close stop loss रख के मतलब हम trade कर रहे हैं. Any point of time we come below 15k mark to market, we'll be completely coming out of our position. So almost funds used is around 18 lakhs. 18 भी नहीं है because of the stop loss orders. It's showing that somewhere around 17 lakhs. So close to 1.5% we have collected, and yeah, the option premiums are decaying rapidly now. So at least इस 15 में से at least even if you collect like 10 points also, that will be a good amount for the day. And yeah, the decay is happening at a good pace because now that the market has come down, so market has a good amount of support at 14,650 levels. तो यहाँ पे support काफी ज़्यादा है, because of which these puts are not that spiking that hard. So immediately we are looking at a 30k profits because the puts are not spiking. The puts are not spiking as hard, and the calls have completely given up their value. And yeah, now from here on 14,750 seems very unlikely. अभी तो 14,750 काफी unlikely लग रहा है. At the same time 14,650 puts, there have been the open interest of the 14,650 put is unscared. कोई ऐसे unwinding हुआ नहीं है. So because of which we're gonna wait, and we're gonna wait until this resistance level, ये जो resistance point है, अगर ये resistance point अगर breach नहीं करता है, तब तक we're going to hold on to this position. अगर वो breach कर देता है, then we might risk off the calls and go to 14,550. We'll try to collect like as much decay as possible. Since we have already collected close to 7-8 points of decay, so another 7-8 points would be decent for an expiry, considering that we have not been doing well. Particularly, I have not been doing well for the last 2 weeks. So the point is to take at least some amount of profits home today. That would definitely boost the confidence too. So yeah, we'll see. ये जो अभी fake breakdown जैसे दिया है, see, ideally अगर uptrend continue होना चाहिए था, if this breakout was to be successful, then it should have been halted at this point. इस point पे halt करके then it should have gone up. But just because it has pierced inside the zone, now I consider that the strength is not so great. The strength is not so great. So because of which we'll be holding on to this position up until these levels. 14, at least 14,700 level is clearly taken out. So we are at 14,690. Another 10 points. अगर 10 points अगर ऊपर move कर देते हैं, then this put should have deflated by quite some amount. and 14750 looks unlikely from here, but markets being the markets, just because the intraday volatility is unfathomable these days, so we'll never know. So any further adjustments, I'll keep you posted. We are up by around 14 points. We have captured 14 points, and this straddle 14650, sorry, this strangle 14650 and 14750 strangle is worth close to 12 rupees, 12.5 rupees. So we have kept the stop loss orders at 12.4 and 12.4. So अगर 14650 का stop loss hit हो जाता है, then we are going to short the 14600 put, so that we'll collect the decay back. And at the same time, अगर 14750 का stop loss अगर hit हो जाता है, then we'll short 14800 call, जितना भी उसमें पैसे रहेगा उतना कलेक्ट करेंगे. But from here on, we should not be losing more than 2 or 3 points of MTM. अगर 50k के नीचे आ जाता है at any point market, तो I'm gonna be exiting. Exit all बटन पे दबा के मैं exit करने वाला हूँ. तो currently 58, 59, 60k के आसपास MTM चल रहा है. So which is almost more than 3%. More than 3% mark to market. All adjustment, we came out of the 14650 puts, which looked a bit risky, and now we are sitting on a 14600 put and a 14750 call, a 150 point strangle, which is worth close to 6 rupees. So because of which I have kept the stop loss at 6.2 and 6.2. So if any of the stop loss gets it, suppose let's say 14600 stop loss gets it, we'll short the 14550 put at let's say 1.5 or 2 rupees. So that whatever the loss we are making, we'll be collecting that back. And potentially we have another 5 points to gain, so which is almost 21k of profits. And there is another 29 minutes for averaging. जब averaging शुरू हो जाता है, this 600 put should just decay like this, and even this 750 call will be decayed like this. We keep tightening the stop losses, तो जितना होता है उतना profits को हम lock in करते जाएंगे. And another 20-25 minutes for the average. Okay, the time is 3:10 and we have completely pulled out of our positions, and सारे orders हमने निकाला है. So 79.5, that is approximately 80k यहाँ पे, and minus 1.7 यहाँ पे. So around 78k for the day, and the funds used were somewhere around 18 lakhs use किए थे. So which is slightly north of 4% for the day. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another live trading video, and you guys have a good evening.